Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome. I am John. I'm a cinematographer and filmmaker here in New Hampshire. I do a lot of commercial work, feature films, etc. So if you're new here and you like what you see, give the old subscribe a like, show some love. And if you are one of my people who regularly frequent my channel, I am sorry because it has been a hot minute since I have done anything. I think my last video was like 4 months ago. It just got really busy. Finishing up wedding season, shot some bunch of different commercials. I actually worked recently on a feature film. If you're familiar with the Let's Not Meet podcast, there's a feature film that's going to be coming out with that, a horror film that I worked with. I did some camera assisting work and some behind the scenes photography for them, some promotional stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Keep an eye out for that. That'll be really cool when that comes out. But today, we're not here to talk about my career. We're here to talk about Ridge Racer. And I've been sitting on this one for a while. I've got like a bunch of stuff that I'll be putting out soon. So I'm going to kind of just commit you guys all at once. It's going to be radio silence for a few months. And then I'm just going to kind of come at you. Because the whole time I've been working, it doesn't mean I've been not buying arcades and fixing them up and doing them. And what is special about today, and we have a special guest for today. And this show is sponsored today. Today's sponsor is Retro530. Yes, the amazing Laramie over Retro530 is sponsoring today's show. I'm very excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So, like many of you who have picked up the Ridge Racer cabinet, I've noticed a lot of people picking it up the past few months because they've had a lot of really good sales on them. I myself got this one for, I think it was like $3.99, and which was really nice because if you follow my channel, you know that I do a lot of mods. Mods are very important to me. I really like my cabinets to look a certain way. I have a specific look I go for. So for me, $3.99 was great because it gave me a chance to, save a few bucks on the upgrades that I would be normally doing anyway. So this cabinet you see here behind me, it's got the light up coin doors by my guy Lyle, who he and I have something very special we'll be sharing with you in a couple weeks. So stay tuned to that. But, I put the light up coin door on this one, and I put the subwoofer and upgraded speaker system in this one. And one of the things I had to do with this one is if you've purchased a Ridge Racer cabinet, one of the biggest complaints has been the audio. And, I just took it for, maybe like it just has bad speakers or whatever. But I put the upgraded speakers in and the subwoofer in, and it was really bad. It just had no bass. It was really just tinny and hollow. And what I wound up finding out through some research was that apparently it's the audio port in the back where you would plug it in normally is like backwards with the one that was actually in the headphone jack. So there's a weird thing where like there's a bad audio port where you would normally plug the audio into the back of the computer, and you actually have to go in and take the wiring out of the headphone jack. So you have to go in, take the back apart, drill a little hole in the plastic, and like feed the wire that goes to the headphone jack and put that in and plug your audio in that way. And then it sounds amazing. Now it's got super rich bass. It's very loud, really punchy. It sounds great. It's a weird workaround you have to do. I don't have any footage of that myself, unfortunately. I just sort of did it. It should be really easy to find. I can't remember where I found it, but if you do just a simple Google search or a YouTube search for, Ridge Racer audio fix, you'll find it. The only downside to the fix is that you won't be able to use the headphone jack because that is now, there's nothing in it anymore. That wiring is used to, supply audio to the cabinet. So that will no longer be a viable option. But if you're someone like me who doesn't really care and you want to hear this loud anyway, it's not going to be a big deal. I don't think I've ever used any of my headphone jacks ever. So to me, it's no big loss. For some of you out there, your mileage may vary. So keep that in mind if you're going to do this mod. But the biggest and most exciting thing for today, and we will be speaking with the man later himself, but Laramie and I over at Retro530 have been collaborating for a couple months now on a brand new marquee for Ridge Racer. So the marquee you see behind me is not the Stark marquee, and it is the only marquee third party available right now by anybody. My biggest problem, and if you follow my channel, you know I've done a Marquee video before featuring Laramie's work. He's an amazing dude. He does fantastic work. His marquees are hands down the best anybody out there making third-party marquees are doing. I had this thing with him where I was kind of, joking around with him, and it got to the point where I would just check in and I'd be like, you know what, man, the marquee on this thing's really bad. And I would just email him like, the marquee on this thing's so terrible. Like, what do we got? You got a fix for this? Are we working on something? And he'd just be like, oh, let me see what I can do. And then it just became like this running gag over like the course of like a month or two where I would just like every now and check in and be like, how's that coming along? How we got a Ridge Racer marquee or what? And it finally just came at me. He's like, dude, like nobody has one. Like, I can't get artwork for it. It's really hard to get artwork for it. And then I just remembered, this happens sometimes because, I forget what I do for a living sometimes. But I did spend a good 15, 20 years as a graphic designer. Yeah. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take it upon myself, since this doesn't exist, to recreate a Ridge Racer marquee from the ground up. So if you watch my other video, I also did this for Mortal Kombat 2. I made a Mortal Kombat 2 marquee. So Laramie also sells that on his website. But, I really wanted to do this one proper because it just didn't, you couldn't get one anywhere. And since he does like the best marquees in the business, his colors are so vibrant, his black levels are so rich and dark, and his colors just pop. There's great contrast to everything. And for me, as someone who spent, such a long time in the print and advertising field, that means a lot to me. Like, I'm really, really OCD about print quality and color quality. And I was joking with him the other day, and I was, saying that he's like the OLED TV of marquees, because his stuff's super vibrant. They have perfect black levels, perfect colors. He just does a really great job. And he and I have been collaborating, and this is the end result. I'm super happy with this thing, and we're gonna have him on a little later today to talk about getting this project done and what it was like to work together. And I'm really excited because this is one of those things where, this is a really, I love that, like, there's so many different mods you can do for these. And I love that there's such a big group. And I love the community and like how excited people get to share like what they know and like, different places where you can go to get things. So it really excites me to have worked on something like this with someone whose work I respect so much and who I think puts out the best products in the community. And I'm really excited, and I hope that all of you who bought a Ridge Racer will go out and purchase one of these, because it is not even a night and day comparison, as I am going to show you right now. Here we have the Ridge Racer in the day. It doesn't get very punchy. There's some vignetting that you can see a little bit, which doesn't really make too much sense, but it just is what it is. It's just not, it's a really trash marquee. The marquee on this thing has bothered me ever since I bought it. It's one of the worst marquees I think that they've put out in a long sordid history of bad marquees. So here you can see now the Retro530 marquee, and even in the day, looking great. None of that vignetting, clear, very punchy, vibrant colors, looks great, just gorgeous. And it's even more noticeable here in the dark. So here we have another shot of the original marquee. This is in the dark. That vignetting that we were talking about is even more pronounced here. You can also see the really drab coloring. It's just really washed out, flat, drab, boring, bleh. I hate it. And here we now have the Retro530 marquee in the dark, and it's not even fair to call it a comparison. This is infinitely more vibrant. The colors are gorgeous. Like, it's so rich, vibrant, and beautiful. And I just love it. It's such a huge difference. So when you go to install this, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. After I spoke to him, and he had said that he had actually just cut like a little notch into the back of the H panel and fed through the, he'll give you a Y adapter, because you're going to need an extender cable to plug into the marquee and then plug into the power on the PCB. And I guess he just cut like a little notch into the H panel. And what I actually did is, since you have to take it apart anyway, I just drilled a hole on the opposite side of where there was already a pre-drilled hole to feed the cable through, because with his marquees, the power supply is on the other side. So I just drilled a hole through the other side of it, fed the wire through, hooked it up to the Y splitter, plugged it into the power, voila, perfect. Everything's great. Fits right back on there so well. Everything just looks great. Let's get into some of the review points of the cabinet. This isn't like my first choice racing cabinet, but they don't really have a lot of options. There's the Outrun cabinet. I was never the biggest Outrun fan. I think it's fun, but it was just never something that I really loved or I really gravitated towards. Even when I was a kid, I was just like, it's okay. Outrun's okay. I respect its place in the pantheon of Sega history and racing history, but it just wasn't for me. Ridge Racer was something I've always been kind of indifferent to. Like, I played it back in the PlayStation days. I thought it was fun enough. But this, I've really been wanting a racing game, just something to like mix it up with the arcade. So I went with this, and it's really fun. I really forgot how enjoyable this actually is as a racing game. It's not like your standard, sort of arcade racer. It is in the sense that like you're timed through your laps and stuff like that, and you're just trying to get to the checkpoints to extend your times and stuff. But with this game, it's really more about like the controls. Like this game's really drifty. There's sort of like a looseness to the controls. It's very tight, so like your movements have to be very precise. Like the driving's really hard, and it makes it sort of fun and challenging because you have to be paying so much attention to the track and the way the track moves and compensating for that. And at the same time, like there's like all these like cool little drifts that you can do and stuff like that to help you get around and maneuver a little bit more. And the response on the steering wheel handles that really well. It's very precise, and it really allows you to pull these moves off with relative ease. It takes a lot of practice. That's the thing with this game that I've noticed the most is like the more I play it and the better I get at it. Like it's just like a real fine-tuned motion to it. It's almost like these little jerky motions that like you have to do with the steering wheel because it's so like precise. But once you figure out how it moves really well. I know that's a little hard to explain, but it's one of those games that's going to take you a little practice and getting used to really master it. And I think that's really fun. Ridge Racer 2 is kind of the same. It feels kind of the same as the first one. I guess the graphics are a little bit better, but overall it's not much of a difference. They both feel and play pretty much the same. Then there's like Ace Driver. Ace Driver is a little bit more arcadey in that it feels a little faster. But that one's also, I feel, a little bit harder. Again, like the steering on that one's just a little different as well. I feel like that one's a little harder to control. And both of the Ace Driver games on here, I feel, are kind of the same in that regard. And then there's Rave Racer, which I think is probably my least favorite of all these. I think that one's just like a little faster, and I think a little bit harder to control. But again, like I might like that a little bit more as I practice and get better at it. It really is finding the precise movements for these games that your mileage will vary on, and they're each so different that it's like you can't go into one game to the next like having the same sort of motion. Like I've kind of figured out the motion for Ridge Racer, but everything else I'm still like sort of figuring out and the timing of and like the exact motion for. But the build quality on this thing's really tight. I really like the design of it. This was also the hardest cabinet I've ever had to put together. This one took me the longest, and I had some fumbles with it. This one's actually got some battle damage, which is totally my fault because with my upgraded speakers and stuff like that, it was a little heavier at the top, and the way that fits together and the way like that all has to come together towards the end was like super hard. And at one point it just fell out and like scratched part of the plexi and then like beat up one of the top parts. I couldn't win with this thing. This thing took a little battle damage, but it looks great. And with my coin door mod and the marquee and the sound system, it's a really nice addition to the arcade. I'm really happy with it overall. This thing gets a lot of playtime. Oh, I also forgot I did mod the foot pedals, but you get them on Amazon. They're like $20, and they fit really well. The gas pedal extends like a good 3 inches higher than the actual stock pedal that's on there, but it does fit. Like it fits perfectly wide on the width, and you can push it down enough that it actually gets on there, and they have like a rubberized grip. So if you're playing, with like shoes that have slipperier soles, it's much easier to actually keep your foot on there, and it's a little bit more comfortable. So it's not just really like it's more I would say more of a visual aesthetic change, but it also does have some practical application as well. But yeah, this thing, I've really been enjoying this thing. It's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of play in my arcade, and I think that this is something that I'll keep around for a while. If they ever did put out like a Daytona, though, I don't know if Ridge Racer would go to make room for a Daytona. What do you think? What would you do? Would you keep Ridge Racer and buy Daytona, or would you swap Ridge Racer out for Daytona? I don't know. I think Daytona might be the more fun racing game, but Ridge Racer is the more precise racing game, if that makes any sense. So it might stick around, and I might just have to have a couple of them. Maybe have like a little racing corner, but yeah, they're very different games, and they're both really fun. So that's a tough call to make. Well, we're talking about the features of the cabinet before I forget. This has forced feedback in the steering wheel. Now, not all of the games support the forced feedback. I think the first Ridge Racer does not. I can't remember if the second one does or not, but they just put out an update a couple weeks ago, actually, as of me putting out this video. Like our update just came out a couple weeks ago that actually gave you a new set of options in the main menu where you can actually turn the force feedback off, which I did because I hate the force feedback. This is a personal preference of mine. I know the people that enjoy force feedback and their racing games say they really like this one a lot. They feel that it's really like a good mix for like of pressure and vibration, but I don't like it. I find it actually harder to steer with the feedback. I feel like it rumbles a little too loudly, and I also just don't like the way it feels in my hands while I'm trying to steer. It feels like I'm fighting it in a way that I know I'm not, but the way it vibrates and the way the car moves, I'm getting the illusion that I'm fighting the game, and I don't like that. So when they put out that new update, I turned it off, and I love it so much better now because I just was not a fan of that feature. So just know that in the options menu, that is available if you do want to turn that off, as well as some changes for like your starting car and difficulty and stuff like that. So give that a look. And again, I'm not sure if that update was what added this, but I also don't remember seeing these options in there because I did look. I remember looking for a way to turn the force feedback off, and I just couldn't. But when that update happened, I just noticed it, and I think that's what that update did, that recent update. So give that a look if you're not a fan of the force feedback, or play around with it and just know that you have the option now to turn it on or off, which I think is great. So we've covered the looks, the gameplay, the overall feel of this thing. Really nice, solid cabinet. It has a really good build quality to it. I feel like this is it's just a really good addition to the arcade. Like if you want a racer, this is going to do it for you. Like it requires a lot of skill, which I like. I like the fact that it's going to challenge you. Gives you a lot of reasons to come back to it and try to best that high score, that top speed, all that. But the biggest gripe that I had was the marquee with this thing. And like I said, thankfully there is a fix. And we are going to speak with the man himself, Mr. Laramie from Retro530. So let's just get into that now.
What's up, man? Nice shirt.
Thanks, man. I thought I'd represent for it. Thanks for making some time. I've been working with you for like a year now, I think, somewhere around a year. And I started buying and upgrading some of my Generation 1 cabs. I think I ordered like one off of you just to see how your quality of work was. And then I remember I ordered like 5 or 6 more immediately after that. So
yeah. You ordered quite a bit. It kept me busy there. Appreciate it too, because I know that we've had conversations where we want something so precise, and so it was with other orders just making sure that you were happy with everything, and I think that's kind of a continued relationship that we've had for months, coming up with there's always problems, and I think we solve those problems. We have solutions and stuff like that, and we work together well. So It's been an honor. Yeah.
And it's been, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because, that is one of the things where it's like, I don't want to say I'm like overly picky, but like, part of what I do for a living, I was in the advertising industry and like, I was a graphic designer for like 20 years. So like, I just have like, there's a certain eye for quality as far as print design and stuff like that is concerned. And, what I like so much about your work and your products is the fact that, when it comes to working with light in general, anything where there's light feeding through it, it's so hard to get visuals and graphics that are going to have good contrast, good colors, and good. The hardest of all is black levels. Like usually a black level will get washed out, as we see in most like stock Arcade1Up marquees. And one of the things that draws me to your work is like the level is just like so precise. Everything's so punchy, so clear, and like so dark and rich. And you have a really good team, and you guys really crank out amazing products.
Yeah, I am fortunate to have some people that help me. Justin from Gulf Coast, he kind of handles all the graphics and the printing. And then on my end, I deal with all the acrylic and the lighting and just the housing. The marquee housings are 3D printed, so that has to be dialed in too. So anybody that's familiar with 3D printing, it's very tedious and it takes a lot of patience. So, but yeah, I appreciate that, because every single marquee that comes shipped from Retro530 is made personally by me. And I've always thought that if I was going to do this, that I would make sure that every single one that left my shop and shipped out was something that I would use personally. And so there's a standard there, a quality. And so there's been a lot of, trying to figure things out, trials and tribulations, some setbacks in terms of, dealing with other vendors that supply some of the things that I need and, putting it together and making sure that it has a good quality look. And at the end of the day, I want these things to last forever. I want people to enjoy them for a long time as much as they can, and also have people, kind of get impressed by it too, because you got to understand that marquee is kind of like the first thing you see. It's what attracts you to the arcade.
Yes,
100%. The sound, yes. Yeah, the sound of marquee. So you got to have a nice looking marquee. So I appreciate that you understand that quality, and I'm thankful that you like it too as well. And I know that there's been a lot that I've sent you that have helped complemented your arcade, and so feel really good about that. So appreciate that.
No, man, believe me, it's happy to work with someone who continuously puts out good work. And the reason, and I'm excited too to see that like your business is growing. Like you were on like with Arcade1Up a few weeks ago, which is amazing.
Yeah,
like that's incredible.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
meeting getting invited by B Kong and meeting John D at his offices there in the Bay Area was really cool. And it was kind of it was a get together, but I actually had a lot of time spending with John and kind of talking to him. And one of the things that really impressed me is that his support for third-party vendors and his acknowledgement for Retro530, and had a chance to kind of show him some of my products, and he was very happy with them. He was very impressed. So that meant a lot. That was kind of some validation that anybody in this field that is making upgrades for let's be honest, for his products, sometimes you don't know how those conversations can go, but I'm a humble person, very professional when I try to talk, and was definitely making sure that I showed my appreciation for him creating this dream, that we never thought growing up would happen, is having arcades in our house and enjoying them, and not just one, but multiple. And we got to continue to thank Arcade1Up and John D and all the people that work over there for doing that. And then continuing to do that. And John is just as much as an arcade enthusiast and a gamer than all of us. And so I think that's really important to have somebody like that, not only in the community, but working for them to make sure that they put out some really cool arcades for the future.
Yeah, I agree too. And like, I feel like when you say support, we support, I do agree with that, because I feel like the community can get a little like just like get into attack mode really quickly. And, there's so many different things that can happen. And I feel like, like this is something neither of us would have imagined as a kid, like having in the house. It's like, it's awesome to be able to have it in general. So like all the little, the little quirks here and there, like you fix them or you don't. Like, I mean, it's like you don't have to do these things. I like doing them because for me, I get it to be the way I want it to be. But, you don't have to do that for the price that these things are being offered. I think it's a hell of a deal, honestly, like what you're getting. So.
Yeah, no doubt. And, for me, every time I walk into, where I have my arcade set up, it's cool. Like you just kind of see them over there, and especially when you light them up and turn them on for your guests to come over and they get to kind of pick and choose. And I see Ridge Racer behind you, and, that is such a great cab. I mean, in general, but, there was something that me and you had to work on, and you kept, bugging me to be persistent on saying, hey, and it wasn't until I put mine together that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what he's talking about. Yeah, this thing this thing could use an update. Yeah,
that is funny because it did kind of start out as a joke. After I bought my Ridge Racer cabinet, you were the first person I went to after I put it together. I was like, listen, man, like it's got the box style on it. Like I know, like you can do this because you have the 3D boxes, but do you have a Ridge Racer upgrade? I don't see it on your site, but is that something you can work with? And you're just like, oh, let me look into it. And then, like every week or so would go by and it would just kind of become a running gag, right? Just like, hey, how's that coming along? You got anything for me? And like, it just gets to the point where you're just like, you're just like, there's no artwork for it. It just doesn't exist.
Good artwork. Yeah, good artwork. Stuff that I would want to use. And I have high standards, and so do you. So we're kind of on the same wavelength with the quality that we wanted to have. So yeah, you threw the ball, at me on my side, and I kind of threw it back at you and said, hey John, if you can help out and find somebody, because at that time I was really limited with people working on custom stuff and artwork because just of the demand. So lo and behold, you came through quick and looked awesome. Did such a great job.
Thanks.
I was impressed.
I did forget that. I did forget that a little. Sometimes I'm in the filmmaking aspect of things now, so I do forget that I have like 20 years of Photoshop skills and making high-end production graphics. I was like, oh right, I can make this if I want to. So yeah, I just cranked one out, and I'm glad it came out well, because like you would send me like these little pictures here and there. And for anyone who's just now listening and tuning in, like what basically we did is there was no real Ridge Racer marquees, and we decided to collaborate and make one together. And what you see behind me, which unfortunately since we're on a Zoom call you can't really see, but if you're watching this video, you'll see better quality versions of it. This thing is amazing. Like you made like the penultimate like Ridge Racer marquee, and everyone watching right now should order one, which they will be able to do, if I'm not mistaken, on your website by the time this is up, correct?
Yeah, we'll have a limited run. We'll see how it does, but if the demand is there and people are excited for them and want to use them to upgrade, the stock one, they'll definitely be available for as long as I can keep up with production. And if they're out of stock, just be patient, and just know that we're working hard to replenish inventory.
I was excited about the process. You developed like a new process too for this marquee. Like you're utilizing like a new system, and I know you were excited to get that going, and I gotta say, man, it looks great. Like really killed it with this new system.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of factors that had went into, okay, let's with the resources that we have, Justin had found some material that we were experimenting with, and I was also more interested in because the plexiglass that I have, the light distribution, I mean, just an eighth of an inch can change just the box and the lighting. Continue to use the same lighting because I really like the high density LEDs that I use. Some people say they're bright, but I'd rather have it way bright. Like I like bright marquees. I would rather have it way bright and then be able to dim it down for preference than to not have it bright enough, and then you just can't get it bright enough. So that's just kind of my theory with it. But the lighting has a lot to do with exposing a lot of the color contrast and the saturation. And so we were able to do some reverse printing on vinyl and adhere it to the plexiglass and different ways. So the ridge racers that are coming out right now have that. And mine is, we've used the inserts before, and we have a couple of those for myself just to have for backups. But moving forward, we're going to start transitioning more into the reverse printing on the vinyl and adhesive and adhering them to the plexi and just kind of moving them out a little bit for better light distribution.
It looks great, like the that light distribution, like you said, and I totally agree. Bright marquee is like it's part of the attract mode for me with an arcade anyway. It's like, it draws you in, and that rich colors and saturation, that vibrancy, it really just helps. It's part of the art of the machine, and I think that's part of the allure of it. The new system that you developed is really great. Everything looks great, and I also got to experience that firsthand with additional part in order. So I have like another secret project that I'm not really going to talk about just yet, but that one that you did for me is astonishing. Like, I was so surprised, especially with that just being a piece of slide-in acrylic. Like how dark that is. Like no light bleed. There's no graying out or like hot spots. It's just solid black with vibrant, rich colors. It's incredible. That new system you've got going is it's fantastic.
Yeah, the black levels are really impressive, and having that really focuses more of your attention on the actual art, and the colors are really saturated well. Justin does a great job of kind of tuning the colors and printing, and when he sends them to me, then it's game on. It's constructing them, it's putting them together. Tedious process, but all in all, I do enjoy it. It's hard when I'm try to keep up with everything else, because I do a lot of other things like coin doors and whatnot. The big buck hunter marquees are pretty popular, so try to keep up with everybody's demand. But it is what it is. I've always kind of said in this industry, time is the enemy. So if you don't have enough time, we just have to kind of be patient. So, and I know even for myself as a consumer, purchasing stuff from third-party vendors too, I'm totally sympathetic on the time frame, because I know that it when you're jammed up with orders, just takes a little bit of time. So just ask people to be patient, but definitely dedicated and committed to fulfilling the orders.
Yeah, and that's something I also want to throw a compliment your way, and to your credit and character person, that like I've never had an experience with you where you're too busy to like answer an email or something like that, and like you're always very good about communication, which isn't always the case with third-party vendors. So, like that, again, that's just more points towards you, and more reason I think that people should go through Retro530, because you're going to get that customer service, you're going to get that quality. And like, I honestly, I don't know what else you could want as far as, having someone that you can trust when you're purchasing something.
I appreciate that. And, I'll be honest, some of the emails do slip through the cracks, but for the people that kind of remind, I'm always there. With this kind of hobby that we're in, I've noticed a lot of new people are coming into this hobby. And just like, me and you, when we first began, we're thriving for information, and not everything is just easily accessible. So some of the stuff that I sell, it takes, even though I try to send printed instructions, people do need a little bit of extra help, which is important, because that kind of goes along with the sale. And then just, responding to emails with inquiries about, like yourself, about Ridge Racer, all the new cabs that are coming out with the slide-ins. Some of them look great. Some of them don't have the right graphics, or the right, they're washed out, or they're missing some things. And so we're trying to, transition a little bit. I've always been told, and I've kind of done my research, that with these traditional cabs with the risers and the old style marquees, Arcade1Up has sold like 4 million of them, and so there's plenty of people that are eventually over the years going to still seek out, you know, the old school marquees that, or the arcades that didn't have marquees that really want marquees now. So just keeping up with customer service, keeping up with the emails, keeping up with the messages. It is a lot, but it's important because you don't want to leave anybody hanging. And so, you know, trying to accommodate everybody's time, you know, it's important. So that's why I try to remain focused on keeping up with the messages and just trying to help as much people as I can, especially when they order something or when they're asking about their order. I try to give them an updated time because I know people are really excited. They want their stuff, and sometimes it takes a little longer than other things. So I appreciate that compliment, though.
No, absolutely, man. And I think that's really, you know, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but I really appreciate you coming on and, you know, getting the chance to chat with you. Like, you become a good friend over the past year, and I really appreciate I really appreciate everything that you do and how great the quality is. You're bringing like a whole new level of quality to this community. And I think that, you know, anyone who's unfamiliar with your work should definitely check out Laramie over at Retro530. And like, what do you got for plugs, man? You want to, what do you got? You got some new stuff coming out of the pipeline you can talk on? They got the Ridge Racer.
Yeah, I've actually, I'm gonna reveal some it's gonna be a split marquee for Simpsons and Ninja Turtles. So nice. That's coming out. It looks really good. I'll actually send you a picture of it. I've been working with another guy that I give him credit for the artwork, but sent it off to Justin. This and adjusting, but man, it came out really good. And for people that are modding their Simpsons and putting Ninja Turtles on them, I think this is going to be, you know, something that people are going to want, because, you know, let's face it, the marquee on the stock Simpsons is, it's okay, you know, but it could look a lot better, and why not upgrade it? If you have Simpsons already on it, you'll have, you know, half Simpsons and half Ninja Turtles. So, but I'm really excited about Ridge Racer, and you really challenged me, and I appreciate you being persistent. And you know, I love that stuff. I love a challenge, you know, and I'm just really happy how it came out. I know everybody's going to enjoy the video. Your production is phenomenal. You know, someone in the community, I'm really glad I met you, you know, through this lane. And I've always been fascinated with film, and you know that. So anything that you do, I see all the extra effort that you put into it, and I'm a fan. So I appreciate you.
Mutual accolades all around here, but so yeah, Retro530. Thank you for coming on, and yeah, go buy some upgrades for your machines from this guy. He knows what he's doing.
Thanks, man. Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks, bud. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, take care.
All right, man. Bye.
All right, so a huge thank you to Laramie at Retro530. I love that dude. He and I have become like good friends over the past like year because I've worked with him so much. Like, you know, he's done all my marquees, and he has such a high standard of excellence on his own products that he puts out. And I really respect that because I'm someone who is absolutely like adamant about having the best quality for what I'm going to be doing to my machines. So I really want to work with the best people. I want to make sure the quality is the best. I want it to look great. You know, 20 years in advertising makes you a little jaded when it comes to things like print quality, and his customer service is top notch. The dude, like, legit will answer you back to you in no time at all. Like, he will take care of you regardless of how busy he is. So, you know, a huge shout out to Laramie. He's a great dude, and I really am proud to have him sponsor this episode because the man does the Lord's work, as they say. So, you know, as he said, there's a link on his website, should be active now. So go and flood him, bombard him with Ridge Racer marquee requests, because these are so much better than what came on that cabinet. Like, subscribe, comment, do all of the things. And again, I promise, no, 4 months is a bit much. A couple weeks, a few more videos, and then I'm gonna start putting out some tech reviews. I have some camera reviews. I purchased so much new equipment for my business this year. I have a lot of fun stuff I really want to show you guys, like new products, new things. Like, so if you're a tech person, I'm gonna have some fun stuff for you to check out there too. So until next time, I will see you guys on the next one, and happy gaming.